I didn't know yet that I had to click like 14 times to remove the intro and then put us on the screen. I think I need to have a key binding or something. It was like click, click, click. And actually, this is our first live stream. And so of course everything had to go wrong. I just clicked go live and you know what it told me? Twitter needs a premium account. So we just will not stream to Twitter now.
Ah, okay.
Anyways, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Anyways, welcome everybody. We are now live with our first Pulse for Developers for Content Stack. And so this is going to be a whole lot of fun. We're going to be live streaming a bunch for all the tech folks out there that want to learn. We'll be learning, we'll be showing off cool stuff. And so with me, we have Lo and Ashish, and I'll let them introduce themselves first. So, Lo, how about you go first?
Sure. So I'm Lo, everyone. I use they, them pronouns. I'm the Senior Technical Product Marketing Manager here at Content Stack. I've been doing front end engineering for a while and also have been a DevRel, Developer Relations Specialist, for a number of years. I love all things CMS.
All things CMS, that's the go. All right, Ashish.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashish Tiwari. I'm a senior solution architect at Content Stack. I'm working with Content Stack since last 4 years. My major role is to do architecture consulting and integration and content modeling related assistance to the customer, prospect, and partners. So yeah, here I am.
All right. And so you're going to show us some cool stuff, right?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
Because we work with a lot of our partners and our customers. And then there's all these really cool things that our platform can do that sometimes, well, they're pretty obvious, but you don't fully know if it fits your use case. And so we have people like Ashish building like the coolest stuff that we didn't think you could actually build with our platform, and you can. And so Ashish is today going to show you one of those things. And so basically, well, I'll let Ashish really explain it. But in short, if the bigger your company gets, the more control you want to have over data models, right? And you might want to have multiple stacks and multiple projects that kind of understand one data model. So when you want to do one change, it kind of just changes everywhere. And so that's super important for governance. And so that's like the shortest I could make this. So Ashish, why don't you take it and explain a bit more, and then we'll share your screen and you can just go for it, basically.
Yeah.
Yep. Sure. Thanks, Kim. So let me just go to a document here. So the use case here is about, think about you have multiple brands and you want to set up a content management system across those brands. Those brands have a different set of content, different images, different brand, different colors, combination and all. One thing which is common across these brands are layout, the templating part. So if I take an example here, you can see here I have this particular website. I just a simple website for a demo purpose. So I have the fashion brand. It's talking about style that speaks, and I have a header and menu, same layout. If I go to a tech startup, different content, different logo, and the same set of layout, but the content is different. I have a different menu items here. So now I want to manage these kind of website in content stack. So what our customer do, they create different stacks. So when I talk about a stack is a kind of like a inside a content stack organization, you can create multiple stack to make a segregation of content.
Mm.
In case you have a different team working on it, you can give them a different access to it. Like a specific team is working only for a tech related content, a specific team is working on a brand specific content and all. So for those kind of scenario, people create different stacks for it. So that's overall. And now let's get into a problem statement here. So if I have a different brands and those are sharing the same content types, so it's content model also we call it. Content type is nothing but a schema. Whenever you create a content, first of all, you need to create a schema according to your page layout. When you receive a designs from your designers, based on you, if you have a banner, if you have a author details or something like that, based on your page design, you create a schema. That's something is called as content types. So in our scenario, we will have multiple websites, but all of these websites will have the same content types, templates, but the content is different. and images and color combination will be different, right? Now, let's think about there is a new requirement came and I had a blog page. I want to add a new banner to it. Earlier, there was no banner. Now, design team told me like you need to have a banner over there. What I'll do, I'll go to the content model and add a new field in it. So, if I take an example of so I need to add a banner here because you can see here there's no banner, so it doesn't look good, right?
Yeah.
So keep that in
Right.
mind. I want to add a banner here. So if I need to do that, if I have a 10 different brands, or let's say some customer has 100 brands or 50 brands, I need to make that change going to each and every stack. If you see my stack screen here, if I go here on my organization, I have these brand one stack, two, three, four, five. So all of these are having a same content type. If I need to make a change in content type or add a new content type or delete a content type, I need to go into each stack, need to make that change, and it will be a time tedious. Along with that, there is one more scenario. When you make a change in content model, the content model change is not a small change because if you are
Yes.
making a schema change, it will also impact your entries. So if you're deleting a field, that means you need to delete the data of that entry or a page also across your different. You can see a real example is brand website one, and brand website two. I have 10 content types, but we talk about entries. I have 234.
Yeah.
This is just one, but customer will have like millions of entries sometime. So even to check and perform those operation and making sure after a content model, whatever the changes you have done, if you have deleted a field, you need to make sure that field data is deleted across your pages also, because that's something is getting pulled via APIs. So again, that's a bit of like a time tedious job to do it manually, or if you write a script, again, it will take a lot of time. So now, for these kind of architecture, what we recommend and what our customer has done in past, a big enterprise customer. So let me just go back here. I can create a global stack, and I make sure like a specific users or a team leader of a development is only having the access to that global stack. And this global stack will have same set of content types which are here. So this is a single source of truth. I just go and make the content type changes here, and it should automatically propagate to all of my website. I don't need to go into like 10 or 20 website each and every time. So this kind of solution we are looking for here. And
So,
also,
Ashish, quick question. Sorry to interrupt. How does that work with like authentication and stuff? Because could it be that one content, like one admin that's maybe like an architect, could
Mhm.
run this automation or whatever we're going to do to make that work? What if they're not allowed to do that on a certain stack? How does that work?
Yeah, so for that, what we can do is whenever these sites and all, we have a different set of user roles. What
Okay.
we can do is we will not give a developer role to the users who are working on here. If they will have only content manager and content editors. With
Sure.
content manager and content editor, you will not have access to content model. So they are only allowed to make the changes on entries, assets, and everything. They are not allowed to make the changes to content model. So there is no way somebody go into site one and make content model changes.
Yeah.
The only way is you go here, whoever is having access to this particular stack, they go to the global stack, they make the changes, and that changes will propagate to all the different
Yeah.
brands.
So I think, like, I imagine that this kind of solution really helps with governance, right? So
Yeah.
the whole point of this is you can sort of quarantine off the data between these sites while also taking advantage of the composability of like content models, right? If the content models are the same for all the different entities, there's no reason one to increase error, right? Because that's part of
Yeah.
that. The more you repeat these kind of changes to a content model that everyone's using, the more likelihood there is for mistakes versus having all the content models live in one global stack and just populating all of the entities.
But
Yeah.
imagine if you have 20 stacks, you go in, you keep clicking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
You know
much
what? Me,
clicking.
as like an old school developer, I would do that. But
So
at
I, what
Yeah.
scale,
I,
man.
I've seen customer doing it like for 50 stack. What they do, they go to a one stack, export it, the content type, and
Ah,
then import
yes,
it again. Again, it's kind of
exactly.
like even if you're doing that clicks and all, it is a time taking. I mean, and even you're making direct changes, so you don't know after you're making a change to your brand website, your production might not have the data suddenly. So keeping that in mind, it should be like if this is a big the schema changes is a big thing in the content management itself. So we
Exactly.
want to make sure nobody else is having access. If it is happening, it should be happen in a proper streamlined process. And whatever the action need to be performed after that, like an entries and all, that is also you can write a logic and do that particular stuff also, which we will see in a moment. I mean,
Yeah. So how do we then solve this? Right. And
okay,
that's probably the next step. I'm sure you're going to
Right.
get there. But what I want to highlight once you show this stuff, and of course we know because we prepped this, this is not a
yeah,
proprietary thing that's specific to content stack that where we build like a feature for this. This is actually using a composable tool that we also offer, and therefore you could also do that same thing for other systems. And that makes this, of course, very interesting in our composable world. So I think I said all my buzzwords now. Let's go.
yeah. So
Gotta
just to
hit them.
start with,
Gotta hit him.
yeah, yeah. So just to start with that, we were talking about the manual step. So if we are talking about the manual, what you want to do? You want to automate.
Make
Somebody
Yes.
else should do for you, right? So as the name say, automate, we are going to do that. So we have a product in Content Stack called Automate. That particular product is for trigger and action-based workflow builder. So based on certain triggers happening on your global stack, there are certain actions that perform across your different child stack, right? And that is also happening in a streamlined process. You can have a step-by-step, okay, after this particular step, after a content type is created or updated or deleted, what are the things need to be done? So you can have a sequential flow of it, and the
Yeah.
things will happen in that. It's more of like an orchestration of whole thing itself, right? Uh, so before I go into the detail, let's see a live demo of it first,
Yeah.
and
I
then
would say show the
Yeah.
magic, then we talk.
yep. Okay, cool. So let's go back here. I have 3 content types across these 5 different brands. Let me just create a new content type here in the master stack. So I'm going here. I have blog, news, page. I can create a new content type. You can name it anything. Uh, let's say article,
Yeah.
and I can keep multiple here. Save. Once I hit the save, let's go back to the here. There's a 4 content types, and you can see the magic here. These brands also has the 4 content types.
Did it
It's
already run?
yeah, it's done. I mean, it's hardly
Okay.
took
Amazing.
just a 1 second. I
Wow.
mean,
Okay. Can you make another one? I don't believe you.
yeah, let me just do it. I'll just create a new content model here saying, okay, I'll call it as a home page.
Yeah.
It's a single. Let's keep it single.
Yeah.
Save. Go back here. It's 5.
Okay. There
This
we
is
go.
probably this is just a create part of it.
Yes.
Now
So you
let's
now
think
created
about
a model, and
yep,
now, well, can you just click in brand one and look at the content types?
yep. You can see whatever I have
Ah,
created.
there
The
we
home
go.
page
Awesome.
and articles are there. It's just done 9:43. I mean, it hardly took a
Yeah.
second. I mean, less than a second. I mean,
Yeah.
so if
And
I have a
quickly,
20,
can you explain the difference between type multiple and type single as well?
yep, yeah, sure. So type multiple is something when you have a content model where you want to create only a single page. So the best example is homepage. You don't want to have multiple homepage, right? Every website has single homepage. So that is something you can treat as a single one. But if we talk about a blog and article, because you don't want to create single article or blog, in that scenario, what we will do, we will mark it as a multiple. So you can create a multiple entities in that particular content type. This is what the simple.
Awesome.
Excellent. Sorry,
Cool.
continue.
Yeah, so we have done the create part. Now let's see the magic happening on the update time. What will happen? So if I go here on the master stack, again here, and let's make a change to the home page one here. This is just a title. I want to have a banner image for my home page, and I can have a content fill here. And if I hit the save, that means I'm updating. Now let's go back. I mean, on my stacks, there's no change because we have just done the update. I'm going to brand one stack, going to that particular home page entry here, and It's might be running here because it's update one. So probably I can see here in the automate. It's running over here.
Oh, we're going
It's done. It's done. So
behind under the hood now.
yeah. So let's go back here on brand one stack, and you'll see
Ah,
the
there it
thing.
is.
It's
Nice.
it's
Yeah.
coming on here. If I go to the brand two stack, and just to verify, uh, changes are reflecting here. So this is like an
Excellent.
update is happening in a real time basis across all your brands. Okay. Now the last thing is delete. Create, update, delete. These are the three actions we do it. So let's go back to the master stack.
So
Uh,
before you delete, can you have a look at this question from Jovi? So would
yeah.
it also be possible to do different stack synchronizations per content types?
Yep. Yeah, you can do it. I mean, so you can. I'll go into deep into that. Like, if you have a 20 different brands stack, you can configure how many stacks you want this synchronization to be running. I mean, so that you can control it. If I
Oh, that's
understand it
awesome.
correctly. Yeah. So,
Do you have that in your demo later on, or do we, if we have time, should we just try and do that?
you mean the configuration of the different stacks? I mean,
Well, let's continue on how we have it now, and then
Yeah.
if we find some time, we might dive in because that's a very interesting question for sure.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
and one
sure.
other thing, great going, Ashish, from somebody anonymous, but we take it, right? Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Did you want to show the delete still?
Yep. Let's go back here, and I go to the master stack, and let's go in content models. Which one we should delete? So let's delete the last one, homepage. I don't want the homepage. So I just do the delete here. Delete is happening. It's 4 here. If I go here and let me just go here, it takes a bit seconds and
Let's see if it actually ran behind the scenes already. Not
yeah,
yet. While we wait, we have another cool question from Eric. So I love Eric's icon, by the way.
I know. It's
By the
amazing.
way, can we specify that a content type belongs to only certain brands? Oh, that's an interesting one.
Yep. So what we can do is that's a really good question. I mean, we have solved where you have a same set of content types, but in some scenarios, let's say you have a 10 different brands, but in that only 2 brands or 3 brands are there where you have a news article, right? In that scenario, what you can do is you can definitely check in your automate, checking if that particular content type exists, then you make the changes. If it is not, then do nothing. I mean, so that kind of like a conditional thing you can
Oh yeah,
always
we have
keep.
like if else's and stuff, right? In
Yeah,
our
Yeah.
yeah,
automate. I think we're going to
conditional.
show that in a second.
Yeah. Because
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, let's get into the automate configuration.
Well, we're here anyways, right? So you're
Yeah.
looking at your how that works. So let's just have a
okay.
look at what, like, can you give us one sentence to pitch automate? And I know, of course, Christine, our PM, will probably be looking at this and seeing, can Ashish actually pitch my product in one sentence? Can you give it a go?
Yeah, so automate is something, I mean, makes your life easy. I would say this is the simple thing. That it saves a lot of time, efficiency. You can uh, put your brain and time in doing some cool stuff, and whatever the repetitive tasks are there, just leave it up to automate. It's just a one-time configuration, and a bot is running behind the scene and doing your stuff. I mean, something like that.
Exactly.
Make your life
I like
easy.
to
I
call
mean,
it auto magic.
Yeah.
yeah, that's amazing. I mean, auto magic. I mean, every time something is happening, it's magic also. So yeah, Christmas is coming, so magic is.
Christmas is coming. Why don't we unpack the magic though and actually go in and see?
Yep, sure. So let me just go into the configuration part here. So this is my automate. It's very simple. It's a 5 step. If you count overall steps,
It kind of
and
doesn't look very simple though, dude.
Yeah. I'm like, it doesn't
I
look
don't know what
very
I'm looking at yet.
pretty.
Can we just maybe click on the first one and talk about what that actually is?
yep, sure. So if I click on this, the content type trigger. So as I mentioned, the automate is all about trigger and action. So first thing
Mhm.
is about the trigger. Automation is always listening for a trigger, any event, and also you need to make sure like you set up your event based on your use case itself. So for our use case, what we want is a content type trigger. So we have a connector. again, it's not something you need to set up a webhook, or it's something like a logic behind it. We have a content stack management,
Yeah.
which will always give you the all option, like even if it is an entry trigger, workflow trigger, or a content type trigger.
Yeah.
So for our use case, we are going to go deep into content type trigger.
And so,
In that,
sorry to interrupt, but like just to give this a little bit more clear for others as well. So we have a bunch of different types of trigger we can listen to, and so it could be a webhook from another system. Like I
yeah,
updated a YouTube video and it sends me a pops up whatever.
mhm,
But we also connect it to a stack, and therefore we get all the native content stack things that can happen that you can listen to, right?
yep,
Right.
yep. So
Okay, cool.
for this particular use case, we are looking for content stack. But if I just click on here, there are like different options. So as you mentioned, the pub sub,
Ah, yeah, here we
you can
go.
put the HTTP here. You can put your webhook URLs here. So anytime a third-party application is performing any operation, this automation will be notified, and the next magic will start happening. I mean, behind the scene.
Okay, cool.
Even one more thing, which is very powerful. Sometimes you don't want to do. It's more of like a real time. You want to schedule a time. So in that scenario, we have a scheduler. So you can schedule it, saying, okay, once in a day, once in a month, or something like that. So
That's
even that is
awesome.
a very cool thing. Yeah. So coming back here, I choose content stack management, and then you can see different options here. There's a workflow trigger, global fill, entry trigger. For our use case, I'm just using the content type trigger. And then this is a major part. So we want to make sure this is a big operation. You're making a change in content management. We have audit logs. We want to make sure nobody else, there should be proper authorization should be happening. So we have the auth functionalities in content stack. So that
Yeah.
is something, again, it's very seamless. I mean, we have all the options available here. Just simply select here. If I just give you an example, I add a new account here, and these are like the permission. I mean, when you are running this particular automation, what are the permission you want? So there are a lot of permission. For our use case, I just simply want this, so I can simply remove all the other one, and I can just say I want to perform create, update, delete content types only, and it will give me a token, a authorization token, which will only have a scope to whatever we have selected here.
Yeah, so just something slightly simpler, we have OAuth between our own systems, but also between other
Yeah.
systems, right? This is
Yep.
like logging with Facebook and you can only look at my title. That's
Yeah.
essentially what this is.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of understand it, but sometimes this goes so deep I'm gonna have to just step it back 1 second. But okay, this is
Yeah.
cool. So this is an actual, right, because I could imagine doing this with like a management token type of thing that can do everything, and therefore if that leaks there's problems, and this is an actual OAuth implementation. And of course when
Yeah.
you work with for customers like ours on that scale, this is like the minimum you have to add in,
Yeah.
and it's actually super solid to have it.
Yeah, let me share
Yeah.
you a good scenario. I have used the management token while building this. Before that, I'll tell you the this optimization happened behind the scene. I think already spoke with you. Initially, I decided, okay, how to get a management token. So I thought I have the access. If I use my username and password, I'll get my authorization token, and that I can use to perform that operation. Again, exposing my username and password is not good. So I
Yeah.
thought of no,
Exactly.
that's a bad idea. Then I thought of a management token. Now, if you talk about a management token is specific to stack. So if I have a 20 stack, I need to create 20 management tokens, and I need to
Ooh.
mention that, and I need to use that every time while making change, right? And even management token, if somebody is exposed, that management token is exposed, they can perform any operation. So keep I've done that, and then I was talking to our awesome automate team. I'll take a name of it. Sumit was very good at, and I explained them. And within a day, he just said, okay, let me just add this functionality to content app trigger itself. And within a day itself, he added this feature. Now I don't want to work. I don't need to work on the management token or the user login. I just simply authorize it, and it will give me a token that is a third-party integration token, which is the recommended way, and that I can just simply use it for next operations and all.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
Yeah. I love the governance and process of this. You know, I'm a
it's
big
very
process and
important, right?
governance person. Only give people what they need to have access to and nothing
Yeah,
else.
we need to practice some of our like authentication cleanlinesses here. Anyways, let's move on because there's so many steps left.
Yeah. So then there is a selected event. So either if you want to if you have a use case only on create, then you can just choose that. But for our use case, I want to make sure this automation should run on create, update, and delete. So I just simply use all event. So it will listen to all event, and then you select the stack on which particular stack you want to listen. So it's giving me the list of stack. I want the master stack. It should always listen to the master stack. So that you need to define here. The branches, it's another topic. Branches is for CI/CD process and all. We can cover it later on in any other things. But yeah, I'm just keeping it main as a default branch. And I proceed here. And there's a cool thing in automate. I mean, anytime you set up a trigger, you can always test a trigger, because when you test a trigger, you get a whole object of what will be the payload of it, and that
Exactly.
object data is required for you to perform next operation. I mean, because if you don't know the key value pair about after this trigger what data I will be receiving, then you
Yeah.
don't know what to do. I mean, so keeping that in mind, I just use test trigger. It gives me the latest
So this
trigger
is
which
the
happened.
latest event that happened when you just changed
Yep.
something just now before. And that's
Yep.
what this is showing, right? And honestly, when I used this for the first time, I didn't understand this could work. Because when you use tools like Zapier or you code stuff yourself, you constantly have to then go back into your stack,
Back.
do an update, and see if stuff comes. And hopefully, I have a console log
Right.
somewhere, right? That's my life. Imagine this. We'll just look at the latest thing in the queue that we have and show it to you. So
Yeah.
this is basically the whole model of
Yes.
that latest content model that you changed, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
This is something. I mean, just listen to that event. And one thing, what data I need from here. So as I mentioned here, I selected all event. So I want to make sure if I need to find out which particular event happened. Is it a create? Is it update or delete? Because for each different event, I have a different API to hit to make that change. Right. So
Yeah.
there is a event a key value. So it will give me this particular key will be used for my conditional, like if else and all. So that is a good example we're gonna talk about. So this value will be utilized to identify after this trigger, is it a create, update, or delete? Okay, and
Oh,
then you
cool.
can also get the UID of the content type itself. So if you need to delete, you need to know which particular content type to delete. So that you can always use the UID for.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just save and exit here. And again, there are a few more triggers. You can also set up a condition here saying this automation should run on this particular event only. So if I want to make a complex condition saying check if it is a create event and it is a for blog content type only. So if you want to make a complex condition before I run, so you can always use these trigger condition.
Ah,
You can make and an or operation and make sure like the next operation before performing the next operation, you make sure you can write a complex trigger setup. So that will be really useful for other use cases, but for our use case, we don't need
We
it
don't
right
need it
now.
yet. I'm actually
Yes.
pretty excited about your next step because I think you're going to do some code, right?
Yeah. So before I do this, now what I want, this trigger happened. Now I want to get a list of a stack where I need to perform this operation. So how I will identify different stacks. So for that, what I'm gonna do is there is a cool thing in Automate. It's a project variables. So most of the developers are aware of like you create some variables where you can maintain certain things and all. So if I have like the question earlier, if I have a 20 stack and out of 20 stack, only 10 stacks are identical where I want to perform that operation. So I can just configure that here. I can say child stack one API key. The API key is the unique identifier for stack.
Yeah.
So I have 5 different stack and I mentioned these API key.
yeah, keys.
So
Now,
this is basically just a key value store for any sort of like environment variables for when you deploy something. It's the same thing,
yes.
right?
So if you add a variable, you can add a plain text. In case of like sometime when we do a third-party integration where you want to store some tokens and all, you can always have an option to
Oh, with the
secret.
secret. Yeah, that's interesting.
So it's something like there will be a encryption and decryption will be happening. So just to make sure for our use case, this is just a stack API key. So I kept it as a plain text itself. So now I have set up a project variables. What are the steps stack I need to perform different operations? Now going back here and to perform an operation, I want to do that operation across multiple stack. When we
Yeah.
call multiple, I want an array of object. But if I go here, these are like single values and all. It's like a key value pair. So I want
Yeah.
to get an array of all the stack API keys. So these kind of scenarios will always come where you need to modify or transform a specific object, right? So in that particular thing, you can use our cool thing. Like the developers are there. I said low code and no code, right? Sometimes you don't need to code, but sometimes you just need to customize a bit, right?
A
You
tiny
want
little bit of
Yep.
code. We
Oh,
put a
yeah.
little bit of it in
I
the
just have a
in the
one
block.
line of code. I mean, if I show you here, so I just have one line of code. What I'm doing is these are my stack API key, and I want an a array of values. I'm just simply using a JavaScript function saying return objects dot value, and what it will give me, it will give me an uh, array of stacks. And these are like 5 stacks. So I'm going to use these API keys to perform that operation, the repeat path, a loop kind of a thing. This is something a very cool thing. I have done a lot of other use cases where I want to write a bit of code to transform. Even we have another utility which is transform. So this same thing can be done using transform also, where you don't need to write a code. I mean, it's a less code. I mean, so even I can use that, but I wanted to show the JavaScript because a
So you
lot of
can have a
content.
bit of a JavaScript sandbox inside a step of your automation that just is
Yeah,
hosted somehow.
yeah,
That is gets special inputs and just returns as an output, and you get. I see you get low dash as fat
yeah,
as well as fetch.
Yeah.
Even that's pretty cool.
yeah. You can make a fetch and load hash, and let's say you want to filter an array. I mean, if you have getting a data and you want to filter it, or you want to make some conditions and all, you can write all those logics here in a JavaScript, and it will execute on that. So it's pretty cool. I have used in a different style. This is a very savior for me. I mean, in different use cases. So
Yeah,
yep,
that's very cool. And so now that you have this, the next step is actually I can also really see you do a loop. So
yep,
can you explain that context of what that
yep.
is actually?
So the loop is something. There is a. If I just delete it, so just to show you, I mean, when we have. Okay, I did something. Let me
Oh
just refresh.
no, what happened?
No problem because it's not saved. So no problem. We'll add it. I mean, it's okay. So okay. Let me just add it. Not a big deal. So we'll do it live. Okay.
This is
Yeah.
When
what this is for. We're
Live
learning
demos,
in public.
folks. Yeah.
We live on the edge.
let's do
This
it
happens all
live.
the time.
Okay.
Also, this
Yeah.
code runs on the edge, by the way, as well. There you go.
So
Anyway,
so
so what did we lose that you now have to add?
I want to write a logic for my create operation. I have update and delete. So I deleted the create operation. We'll do
Oh,
that
oops.
live.
Well, okay,
It's
we
good. I
have
think
27 minutes. Let's do this.
I think I'll not take more than 5 minutes. Also.
Oh, here we go. So, people,
So
this is actually programming in Automate, live in action.
yep.
Yes.
So you have a next step. When you choose a next step, there are three things. Either you can have a conditional path where you can write a condition, an action step where we have a set of different connection here, like in integration and all. If you want to integrate with Slack, with other things, Jira, we do have the AI stuff also, like AWS
Yeah.
Bedrock, Gemini. I'll not go in deep into that. Let's because I have the time here, so I'm just adding a repeat loop, and I want to have a repeat loop on a data source, the data source which I received from previous step. Even that is something is some I have it available here. So this is my response. I want to have a
So this
loop.
is the response from the previous step
Previous
that you
step,
can get
yeah.
as input for the next step.
Yep.
Which is so cool.
That alone to me makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Like Lo and I is such nerds right now.
Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Isn't that easy?
Yeah. So you can see here. I mean, the current items is the first item over here, and all of these items. So my loop is going on across each of these stack API keys.
Yeah.
Now on this repeat, I want to do one thing. Now the repeat is happening. What I need to make sure like which particular action I need to perform. So for that, I can just simply use our utility. Okay, this is like it's more of like a do while, do and then check a while. This condition, something like
Yeah.
that.
So you're kind of it's not like a for each or like a,
Yeah.
what is it's like a do while. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
do
that's
while.
what it's. Yeah.
First do and then check it. While the condition and all.
While something
So-
is still true, do a thing. Essentially.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is this repeat path continue repeat path if condition. So I want to have a if condition here. So I can say the conditions here. Again, the same thing which we have seen earlier. There is an option here to add condition. I'll say from the content type trigger, there is an event field, right? So I can just simply, there is a search also there. So in case you have a lot of
Oh yeah,
events,
this is that create thing we saw before.
yep. So I have a body dot event is create, and then you can have a different condition saying, okay, equals to. So I say matches loosely. I mean, there are a lot of things. I mean, less than, even if you are working with arrays or numbers and also you can do
Hmm.
that. So I say
Okay.
match text equals to create, then and then only this continue repeat should work. Otherwise, it should totally get out of this repeat and move to the next step and check, right? So there is a condition here, exit the repeat path completely if it is not the creative, right?
Okay.
So
So
now
then it
I'm
just
gonna,
goes to the next one
Yeah.
in the loop
yeah.
essentially.
So because it was a create event, you can see the continue is true. That means
Yeah.
this repeat will work, and exit repeat is true in the other scenarios. So save exit. Now I want to add the next thing is the create part, right? So to create it, I just simply go to my content stack management APIs, simply refer that quickly, documentation.
Okay.
We have very
I
cool
love all the
documentation.
built-in testing. Like at every step, you can test, make
Yeah,
sure
that's really,
things are
really
going
handy.
well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here
So
we're
in
now
doc-
going to test the documentation search capabilities of Ashish.
yeah, we can do that. I mean, our search is very good. That's but yeah, I'll just simply go here. I want to get the APIs. I can just simply say, okay, in my stack, this is branches, the content tabs, create content tabs. And what is the payload for it? So you can have this thing over here. I want this URL, and it's a post
Oh,
method because it's a create event. I'm just going here in my automate. There is a cool thing, I mean, there are HTTP. So this is something very powerful thing in case of you need to make an API call. If we don't have an integration, most of the time, most of the integration are there. But in case if we don't have integration, you can always use a HTTP request. I select the authorization. So I select whatever the auth we have set up. That authorization is here, and I put the URL, and the developer knows about it, the post method, because it's a create,
post.
right? And I want a body of it. So I just simply go here and just copy this part, and let's do here on automate. Let's do this. I want, so in this content type, whatever is the trigger happened, whatever the payload was there, whatever the schema was there, that schema I want to update in the next step. Okay. So even I can just simply get it from the content type trigger here. This is the body, the one dot body. This is containing the whole schema. So I just
Yeah.
simply put that. And now one thing is missing here. If I try to publish it, it's not, because I have choose the authorization, but also there are header. So developer
Yes.
knows about, you need to have header, right? So keeping that in mind, I just simply have let's look at the header. What are the header I need? I need the API key. Okay, the API key. So I go here, API key, and the value. So I want the value to be dynamic because this is a loop, right? So
Yeah,
every
but you
time
have
this
the loop from the iterator.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah.
right? So I just simply use the repeat path here, and it gives, okay, I need one more thing here quickly. I just run that repeat again. Let's keep it save for now. Go here and let me just or
So
okay.
you're doing this now on purpose, so it re-triggers your tests,
There's
right?
Yes. So I just want to make sure that trigger the repeat path has the correct values of it. So whatever is generated here, I want that object. Now I have that object. The configuration is saved. Now I'm gonna use that in the here. So I just simply go here on the repeat path. I want the current
Ah,
item.
here
So
we go.
you go.
the
Exactly.
current
Yeah.
item is saved. So I just adding that. Add header. There are a few more things to add. So I go to the content types. This is because it's a post method, so you need to define the content type. If it is a JSON or something else, if it is blob, then you need to define different. So keeping that in mind, I just simply go here and add content type.
Oh yeah, that's application JSON, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
this here, and okay.
Oh, that didn't go.
I don't want to type. I'm relaxed mode because I'm working with automate, right? I don't want to do a manual stuff.
Stuff. Yeah.
And the next thing is, this is a very powerful thing. So if you look at the authorization, it's a barrier and auth token. So I need to
Yeah.
make sure it's barrier space auth. So for that, I just simply use this and go here, add a header, and this data is again dynamic because I have authorization. So you'll be able to find the account data inside the account data. There is the access type, which is token type. So token type.
Is it not access token, maybe?
Yeah, it's a token type, and then I need a access token. So it's a token type
Oh,
space,
this is bearer. This says
Bearer.
bearer.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's
and
this.
then access token.
You're like literally concatenating that string now. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the space because that's what is needed. Now I hope it should work fine. Let's click on the proceed. Next action. Content. Okay, why this is working fine? So why it's not working here is the title is unique because I already have that particular whatever the page content type, so it's not allowing me, but it's working. So if I
Oh
delete it,
yeah, because it already exists because we're
yes,
rebuilding it now.
our
Because
API is working fine.
you just
It's
need
just
the
like,
conditional to see if you need to do create at all.
yeah, that's what I mean. So uh,
Yeah.
in that scenario, if I delete it in my child stack, it will allow me to success. And
But you know this works because it gives this error essentially because it
Right. It
tried.
wouldn't give
Yeah,
that error otherwise. Yeah.
exactly.
yeah, it will give you a successful error.
Dude, this
But
is
yeah,
going pretty deep already. I kind of like that you can do this much in it without actually writing a line of code yet.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's done. I mean, like my create thing is there just for my readability. I just make sure like the repeat path is for create repeat path. This is again just to make sure not going deep into unchecking which API key. So create repeat path, create operation. I can say create content type. So you can give a name to your steps. So it's easy for you to understand, okay, which particular loop is doing what. Now we have done with the create thing. My create is back. Okay. Going back here, again, the same logic, nothing the rocket science. Again, the same repeat path on the response. I'm checking a condition saying, okay, if it is a update, if the value equals to update, then
Yeah.
perform the next operation. And here again, I'm using a put method, so you know, I mean, it's update and the same thing.
So this one
So,
has a sub automation below it. What does that mean?
okay. So this is something you asked me in the past. Okay.
Oh, I know where this is going. Okay, so we,
So
we have like 15 minutes. We can talk about this.
Talk about
yeah,
it.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about it. So when you are deleting, let's say you are deleting take an example of a page content, right? So if you have a page content type and you are making a change, let's go back here on my uh, master stack and content models page here. So if I have a content field, okay, which I can simply add it here. Just to synchronize, I'll make sure my automate is running. So let's keep this enabled.
Oh, you have to enable it though. Yeah.
Yes,
Yes. Don't forget to
so
activate.
one thing is you are not allowed to make the changes if it is activated. That is something again a good thing because
Yeah.
if the automation is running and you're making a change, it will break
Yeah,
it.
that's
So
that's complicated.
Yeah.
yeah, again
That
it's
makes
good
sense.
for you. It's live now, like we are live similarly. So I click on the save here and I'm updating it. I hope it should
We can
propagate.
we can have a look here if this is happening.
It's
Oh, it's
running.
running right now. Awesome.
It's success. I'm getting
Yes.
success all over here. Success. I'm making this live successful. So okay, this content, the spelling is wrong, but let's
It's
go back.
fine. We're living on
Yeah.
the edge.
So I'm going to a branch stack one, going to that page content type. I have that
There it is.
There we
spelled
go.
content. And if I create entries in that, okay, let's go and check the entries. Okay, I have this test entry. If I have some content here, okay, saying this is the content save. Okay, now let's go to the use case. So what will happen if I delete the and if I publish it? Okay, let me just publish it also. So when I publish it, that content is something which will be available on your API keys and all, right? So now if
Yeah,
I
we
look at
do.
the
We use this basically live on our website.
Yeah.
yep, yeah. So you can see if I just close it, we have a cool developer tools where you can just see the payload very instantly.
Oh,
Yeah.
You
there
can
it
see my
is.
content. This is a content. This data is there and it's published. It's available. But let's think about if you're making a change in the content model is updated. What about your 200 and 300 entries? You want to make sure, like after you make the change, that particular field data should also get removed, right? For that particular use case, what
Yeah,
we can
because
do is,
when you change one field, like when you fix that spelling mistake, let's say,
Mhm.
my field that says this is content is a different field, so my data is gone.
Gone.
So
Yeah,
Yeah.
potentially for 1,000 blog posts, you kill the content.
yeah. But again, I mean, till I don't publish because the version histories are there. So if you look at these entries, we have a version history, right? Latest
Oh
version
yes,
history.
you can always go back. That's nice.
Yeah, so always you can go back to different versions. But what will happen if I delete this content field? My version history, which is like 15 version, is published in the production. So nothing is going to change on my API side. But what I
Okay,
want is,
because you do basically just do a save action, not a publish.
yeah, it's just a
Yeah.
save. I
Mhm.
mean, so you have a 15 version. So what I want, whenever I'm deleting a field, I want to make sure that field data, the key value data, is also removed from my API gateway. I mean, SCDN side also. So keeping that in mind, I want this data to be deleted. So for that particular use case, it's specifically for update only because in create, nothing is happening. I mean, it's you're creating a new content type, so there is no entries. If it is a delete, if you're deleting a content type, by default, all your entries are deleted. You have 200 entries and you're deleting a content type, your 200 entries are deleting. So this is a special case for update. When you're
Updating.
updating a content type and updating and deleting a particular field which already have a lot of data and you have a published data. So for that particular use case, what we can do is you can hit a sub automation. So the automation and the sub automation. So I don't want to make this complex. I want to make sure this automation is only for content types. But in certain scenario, if there is an entry operation I need to do, I can do the same logic here also. But I don't want. I thought of like keep the entries operation stuff as a separate automation, and this is my parent automation. And so from here, I can just set up a sub automation where I need to pass a UID and stack API key. This is the UID of that particular content type which is updated, and the stack API key is because it's going in loop. So every time this sub automation is running, it's running across different content
Yeah, for
types.
all the stacks basically.
Yep.
For
And
for
if
the
I
loop, yeah,
go,
exactly.
yeah, and what I'm doing simply in that particular sub automation is it's just simple thing. I'm in sub automation. I'm
Okay, so
getting the
this
value.
is that sub automation with its own tree essentially.
Yeah, this is only
Okay.
running for entries, and this automation will run only and only when there is a update operation is happening.
Okay.
So you can have these kind of like sub automations happening behind the scene for different operations and all. And what I want is when there is a sub automation on update, I want to get all entries. So again, this is available in our content stack management. Get all entries. I get a list of entries of that particular content type. And if I have 200 entries, I just use again the repeat path on that entry. So you can see these are the entries. Right now I have just one entry because I created test entry. If you have 200,
Oh yeah,
300,
we just have one for now. Yeah, sure.
yeah. And what I'm doing here, I'm doing a force update here. So whatever the data is there, it was like 15, and then the next version is 16. I'm making a next 16. Whenever I'm updating it, because I don't have that content type field data in that schema, so it will remove that particular content field, which is the content type field itself.
Yeah.
I mean, so the update is done, and now I want to publish it. So the update will happen on, let's say, entry 1, and that will be published. 2, and if you have 1,000 entries, even that can be handled, and
So
it
can
will
you
just
click on
go.
edit for this one because I'm not sure I fully follow this one.
Okay, yeah, sure. So if I
Oh,
go
it's
here,
activated now, of course.
Good
Sorry
enough.
about that.
Yeah.
delete it, I can simply do it here. So if we,
Oh,
I
this
just
is just
simply,
update like you had before.
yeah, yeah, I can just simply say update. This is update on the entries. So
Yeah, this is an entry. That's different. You're right.
So I'm updating the entry, whatever the entries I have received of that particular content
Yeah,
type, which is
so that these parts I get, but then the action you're actually doing, like what are you specifically updating in that entry? That's what I want to say.
so I'm updating the data. I mean, just updating. If I just simply say, let me just keep here, we will have the stacks and all whatever we are there. So if I just and this, let me just refresh it. So I'll get that.
Yeah, because you opened it and suddenly all your stuff was
Oh,
gone.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's always good to make a clone. Again, I'll talking about a new thing. If you're making a good big changes and you don't want to hit it, there is a feature we call it as a clonest automate. So you can clonest automate and then make a change so that you're not losing it. So again, I'm not doing the cloning part here, so that's my mistake. But overall, I
Yeah.
think it's a good thing.
Exactly. All right,
She's
so
coming in with the best practices.
oh yeah, we need that stuff, man, because this is so powerful. We need some best practices.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what is this actually doing? So you're finding the current entry ID because you get that from your loop. And
Yeah.
so
I'm
you're
getting all.
setting data to current item. That's all you
Yes.
do.
Yes, and whatever the data I have in that current entry, same data I'm applying, and then it's updating a version. And while updating the version, because I don't have a schema field to hold that data, it just by default deleted. And
Exactly.
then I don't have the content, which the content field is deleted on that particular entry. Also, that content key value data is deleted, and then I'm publishing also.
Yeah, so
I
you can
see.
now do an update to an entry or to a content model, and then that gets now, then this runs, and it
Mhm.
basically just sets the data again and publishes it to all of them, so you get a new version.
Yep. This is after this step, you will not see that content, or let's say if you remove an author, the author will not be visible on your website, right? Because earlier when we were making a change in content types, okay, that time we were not working with the entries. So entry, whatever the entries you publish, that data is just sitting in the fastly and caching and everything, right?
Yeah.
So I want to force update to make sure like whenever the content field is deleted, that particular field is deleted, the data should be removed from that CDN itself. That is the task I'm doing with the Sobot.
Yeah, so you're literally, this is almost like a cache purge and
Yeah, yeah,
republishing.
Yeah.
This
yep,
is,
yep,
it's a little brute forcey to me, but I kind of like it.
yep.
Like the thing is, it just shows what this thing can do. And so we have like a few minutes left. So if
Yeah.
anybody in the audience has questions, feel free to ask them. By the way, you can always ask them. Um, so Ashish, maybe we're going full force inception now.
Uh,
Is there something in Automate you might still want to show? Like, is there something that you think that could help folks understand it a bit more, or is there something we can do still in a few minutes to just show some extra auto magic?
okay, okay. Let me just do one thing here. Let me just show you a few options. I mean, so what I can do is whenever there is this event is happening, this content type is trigger is happening, I want to get notified via email, so that okay,
Oh
this is a
yeah,
trigger,
exactly.
right? Or
Because
I
it's a
want to
big
get
change, right? You want to notify people.
yeah. So for that, it's very simple. What I can do is I go to add new steps again in action step. This is like a whole marketplace where I can simply we have our own email thing, email by automate. So I just simply use that.
Oh, that's cool. So
Yeah.
the email server is Content Stack.
Yep. This is
Nice.
being managed by the content stack. So I just say okay, type the Tiwari content stack. This is my email ID. If you want to reach out afterward,
Yeah, I
you
was
can.
gonna say you just now gave the internet your email, but in
Email.
your
Yeah.
case, that makes sense because you want
Yeah.
to talk to people. You're good.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So the subject is content type. So even I can make the subject line dynamic. Okay. So I
Yeah,
can
you can
say
just grab it from another step, right?
content. Yeah. I can say which content type, right? So I can just say UID. If I search for UID, and this is the page UID. So I can say page UID content type got. And now I want to work with the event, right? So we have
Yeah. Is it an update or is
yeah.
it an like
So
that's
it's
oh
an
this is
update.
so cool, dude.
So the subject line is totally dynamic. So now I can say each content type got updated, and it's finally dynamic. And the same thing I
Yes.
can okay, I can have, there is a different body type. If you want to have a newsletter, something like that, you can create a HTML. I'm just using a text here, uh, content type, and also I can do if I need to specify a CC, or I need to add
Oh, you
few
can
more.
add additional stuff. Oh, dude, this is
Yes,
so
and
cool.
This
you can
this is
also,
so cool.
yeah, I can Tim dot. Can you spell your?
Yeah, double NIKS. And now you give my email as well. Also, for me, it's fine. No worries.
Yeah,
People can have this one, just not my phone
we
number.
want to help people. I mean, so yeah,
Yeah,
this
we're
is.
good.
So now if I hit the test action, you should have received an email. So that you can just simply
Whoa,
get it.
I just got it already. Holy moly.
And
I
what
won't
it
share my
says.
screen, but I can
Yeah.
trust me, I just got it.
You
That's
received
awesome.
it.
And so you could do the same with Slack. You could
Yep.
do whatever you want basically here, right?
Yeah. There is a Slack. I mean, even if you want to, let's say there is a good use case, I can say this is a big operation. A lot of our customers use Jira board. So we
Oh
have a
yeah.
Jira.
Hmm.
So if you want to update a Jira, so you can just search for Jira here, and here you go. I mean, if you want to create a task for other folks, you want to create an issue, an update an issue, you can do that integration. So this is
Whoa.
for orchestration.
Could
I
you
mean,
also make a trigger from a Jira ticket to start
yes,
this?
yeah, you can do that. So
So we
you
can do
just
a whole Jira workflow essentially.
yes,
Yeah,
Jira
basically
workflow.
building your whole process.
Dang.
Yeah, even I can talk about more things like when you're updating the content tab, and you're updating, let's say in sub automation, the entries are updating. If a customer is using Algolia or Elasticsearch, where they want to have
Mhm.
advanced, they want to indexing, right? So even that is something we already have it here. You just simply need to configure your Algolia integration. So after the update is happening on entries, your Algolia database is getting parsed. I mean, its indexing is happening. Elasticsearch is there. Even if in case of like the chat gpt, you can easily, I mean, write something about what exactly happened with this thing, and create a summary of it, and send it to anybody. And or you want to review something like that, you can do it. A lot of things, I mean, we are keep on adding here. uh, Even one more thing, launch. So launch is a content stack feature, a product itself, where you can host your website. So after my content type got updated, my entries are updated, I want to trigger a build, because if it is a static site generator like Next.js or Gatsby, you need to trigger a build. So that operation I can do it. So after an update happening in the sub automation, I can say, see, okay, in the launch, just deploy a build or
Build.
revalidate the
Yeah.
CDN cache.
Redeploy.
Yeah, so a lot of things, I mean, you can do. I can spend another 2 3 hours talking
Dude,
about
we'll
all
have
this.
you back on, I'm sure.
This is
Yeah,
Because we
amazing.
still need to talk about all the stuff AI can do in here. Like
yeah,
there's
AI.
so much. Like
I
I've
love
had
it.
a bunch of different meetings with folks working on this product, and every time they show something, my mind is blown. Every time.
I
And
know.
because
Yeah,
I'm an old school developer doing all this myself in Node.js scripts, and
yeah.
we don't
We
have to
have
do that
done.
anymore.
I think we have done a lot of use cases with AI. The MongoDB webinar was something like I worked with the MongoDB on that. Like
Yeah.
we have done a lot of things. At the time, which
Yeah.
used to take around like 10 days, now they can do within a minute or something. So
And I just like how, like, from an organizational, like, IT management perspective, right? In Automate, you can see all the flows and tell exactly what the steps are. And a lot of times when you do this sort of thing manually, the code may not be annotated, it may not be very clear what's happening.
yeah,
And if the person who made it leaves the organization, right, other people are left with this code not really understanding the purpose or why it happened. But when you have it
Exactly.
all together and you can actually annotate it and you can send messages about it, it makes the
yeah,
whole process move much faster between the team, right?
yeah.
Governance is a thing, man. It's so
Yes.
important.
And even sometimes the things goes wrong, sometimes the execution is failed, so we have the execution log,
Oh
where
yeah, I can
just
show that here on the screen.
there
Yeah.
has been,
So
it's not always a success. If you go down here, if I go to different pages, there has been some failed scenarios. So I can just simply go here, why it got failed. You can see each and every step and which particular step the fail was there, and I can simply go
oh, this
here.
is just
This
awesome.
is
Look at
the
that.
info.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
rate limit has hit. So because it was a big operation, so there is a content type rate limit and all. So I just fix it and my things are working. So anything goes wrong, there is a thing to do a console logging and everything is there. So this is again a very powerful thing.
Yeah, it's kind of fun that we keep being surprised, but we're just showing our age because back in the day, none of this existed or worked.
Yeah.
And so for I guess for you, Ashish, it's pretty normal. And I'm like, holy moly, this is all just
Yeah.
how is
It
this
was
normal?
definitely push and pray, is
Yeah.
what I used to call it.
Made my
I
life
did
very
commits with YOLO in them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, we are on time. We are exactly 1 hour and 1 minute. So
Yes.
thank you so much, Ashish. I think it's time for us to do the following. Join our Discord. So I just put in like a little banner here below because if you join our Discord, you can talk to folks like Ashish or me or Lo about what you've built. You can show what you've done, and I think we just put like a little comment with the
Yes.
actual link. So if you're
I did.
watching, you can just go in. I think that is only for YouTube and not LinkedIn, by the way. But we'll figure that out for next time, I think. Anyways, thank you everybody so much. Ashish, especially, I know you worked hard on this and it worked
Yes.
super
It's
well.
fantastic.
Exactly. So, Lo, did we have a planning for the next stream yet? Do we have a date or do we update folks a bit later?
We'll update folks a bit later because I think we will take some time for the holidays and then we'll be back
Exactly.
in January.
All right. Thank you so much. And as this is the first stream and our marketing team is awesome, let me show you what they made for us. I'm going to just put this and then we end the stream. Watch this.
Amazing. Yes. Shout out
It's
to the
so
digital team at Content
fancy.
Stack.
It's just
Y'all
so
did an amazing job.
all right.
EXP.
DXP, Pulse, all the things. All right. Cheers, everyone. Have a good
All
one.
right. Bye,
Yes, bye.
everyone.
And I just clicked end